Previously on the Fuel Efficiency Face-Off, the New Driver Challenge.
Volvo Trucks issued the challenge. Spend 5 weeks in CDL school to pass the 3 written tests and 4 parts of the on-road test to earn my Class A license. Then challenge Super Specker Joel Morrow to a fuel efficiency face-off. I thought it would be a breeze. I was wrong. I feel good. I feel confident. I feel ready. I passed. I'm coming for you, Joel Morrow. In this corner, wearing all black and hailing from Akron, Ohio, with more than a decade of covering the trucking industry as a journalist and little to no actual driving miles under his belt, he put his reputation and dignity on the line to film himself going through trucking school. It's Jason. I just got my CDL Morgan. And in this corner, wearing his signature purple, matching his fuel-efficient Volvo VNL truck, he's the Chief Executive Officer of Alpha Drivers Testing and Consulting, a trucking industry professional with more than 30 years of experience, more than 5 million miles on the road, Joel the Super Specker Morrow. The route is 276 miles round trip, starting at the Volvo Trucks North America headquarters in Greensboro, North Carolina. We'll check in at the halfway point at Volvo Trucks Customer Center in Dublin, Virginia, and then head back to Volvo Trucks HQ in Greensboro, where we will crown a fuel efficiency face-off champion. Hey guys, Joel.
Hey, Jason.
Good to see you. Dwayne.
Hey, Jason.
Thank you guys for doing this. I'm excited.
So are we.
Are you ready?
Absolutely.
I think you're going to win no matter what.
I don't think so.
It's
You're
your
going to have a big advantage, though. I mean,
That's true. We got purple A's. You want to do a walk around? Show us what we're working with?
yeah, let's do it.
Excellent. Tell me about the engine.
D13 TC Gen 2, 455 horsepower, 1,850 pound-feet of torque at 900 RPM. Engine loves the cruise, sub 1,000 RPM actually, about 990 at 65 mile an hour. Takes a minute to get used to the low RPM, but once you do, it's hard to drive another truck actually.
Right. I mean, that contributes a ton to the fuel efficiency. Drivers might say, well, do you even have enough power? 900.
It does, especially in the flat, the rolling hills.
Yeah.
Now, when you get on grade, it's going to use the transmission. It'll make a downshift,
Yeah.
but you spend most of your time on relatively flat roads, and this is the big contributing factor to the fuel efficiency, no
Right.
question about it.
Right. Well, and we have a couple grades on our route today, so we'll put it to the test a little bit as well, right?
We got a couple good pulls, sure.
Okay, engine, transmission, we got an I-shift. Can you tell us about that?
I-shift, the 14-speed variant. We have a very deep crawler gear in this, in the reverse. Has a deep crawler gear as well. The top side of the transmission's just like the standard 12-speed overdrive, same steps, same ratio, so that part will feel very familiar.
Right. Okay, very good. Aerodynamics of the VNL certainly contribute to the fuel efficiency as well here.
Absolutely. One thing that you may not notice that really contributes to fuel efficiency that most people won't put together, we have a very high capacity front axle.
Okay.
You'll notice the steer tire's a little wider to carry some extra weight. It allows us to stay aerodynamically efficient. We can close the gap up, put some extra weight out front, and maintain our aerodynamic efficiency.
Okay, so back on the trailer, closing up the
Yes.
trailer gap a
Yeah.
little. Because, my inclination is, well, if you're running a little heavier, that would kind of work against fuel efficiency. But you're by gaining that aero edge, you can make it up and even do better.
Actually, that extra weight, your drive axles, they are designed to run more efficient when they're loaded rather than empty. So you do gain some efficiency by keeping the weight up on the truck. We also maximize our tractive potential. We're getting the footprint on the tire right because we've got extra weight in there. We don't want to be, just dragging all the weight on the trailer positions.
Right. Well, and one thing I do notice too, you're running ultra wides on the drive.
Yes.
Right. So that's one. And they look like there's a different tread pattern on those as well. Can you tell me about that?
So it's a little more aggressive than what people are used to seeing. This is a 6x2 configuration, meaning we have one drive axle instead of two.
I see.
So all the horsepower and torque are going through 2 tires instead of 4.
Okay.
So we need to have a little bit more aggressive tread pattern in order to take advantage of that torque that we're putting down to the road.
I see. 6x2. You don't have any problems with the 6x2?
No, we've made some improvements in terms of suspension, in terms of weight biasing, steering, how we can transfer weight back and forth between the axles, the amount of weight, the higher capacity front axle plays into the optimization of the 6x2 package as well. When you get the 6x2 right, and we're talking about getting the specs right on it, it's a very viable solution. The traction is excellent, tire life is excellent, ride and handling are probably actually better than a 6x4, and fuel efficiency is certainly better than a 6x4.
What other standout features are notable here in the Purple Haze that we should know about?
Dynamic steering.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
This will be a joy for you.
Oh yes, it will be. Holy smokes!
I'm
this
gonna
has all the
I'm
bells
gonna get
and
a
whistles.
workout. You're gonna be loving life. This is especially carrying the heavier weight with the wider front tires.
Okay,
the
right.
dynamic steering it's kind of one finger control for you, and it's you get in a good headwind, it kind of counter steers against that headwind,
Okay.
and it's just a very nice feature to have. Some people will say, oh, I can't cost justify something like that. I know in a fleet operation, a blowout in the front tire can be catastrophic, and that will keep you on the road.
Is that the gear, the steering gear that allows that? Because there's the steering gearbox.
Standard gearbox. Here we just have an electric motor that's getting feedback from the tire inputs.
Okay.
So it's measuring 2,000 times a minute. So and then it just gives feedback, additional torque into the actual steering wheel.
You want to go check out the truck you're driving?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, now this blast from the past. This is the launch model of the VN from 1996.
Correct.
Is that right?
I think it's got less than 1,000 miles on it.
Yeah, I think 600, around 600 was the number we were hearing. That's amazing. So, well, let's pop the hood and we can talk through it. Sure. Go ahead. All right, so what are we looking at here? What's the engine on this one?
D12, 425. I think it's 1450.
I believe so, yes.
And I think that happens at around 1,300 RPM.
Okay.
So this one's not going to run near as low in the RPM range, and this is probably going to be the major reason we're going to see a fuel efficiency delta.
Yeah.
Every mile I run down the road is going to be at a higher RPM, so we've got more drag, more pumping losses, and everything. That being said, it's a pretty forward-thinking spec for the time.
Yeah.
The 425, 1450, a 14-speed manual.
Yeah, okay, so walk me, this does have a unique transmission here. Tell me about it.
You don't see a whole lot of the 14 speeds. It has a unique shift pattern that I've got to think about when
Right, okay, and I sat in it earlier, so it's one low, there's like a splitter to high, right? So you go one low, high, two low, high, right?
It's kind of like an 18 speed,
Okay.
Where you can split every gear.
Yeah.
But it's a 3-speed twice, and you can split every gear.
Okay.
Where the 18-speed is a 4-speed twice, and you split every gear.
Yeah.
So the gears are laid out a little different, a little longer throw. It feels different. It's kind of unnerving a little bit for me, but I got the hang of it in the last couple days.
Sorry, but this is a challenge here, and I feel good about you saying that. One, because I mean, I just struggled with the 10-speed in CDL school, right? Yeah. Getting used to it, understanding the gearing, it was a struggle for me. I'm excited to not shift with the I-shift. Yeah. So, yeah, we kind of handicapped you a little bit. You're going to be, some of the years upon years of that muscle memory might work against you.
Absolutely. Being used to the fuller, 13 and 18 speeds, you float everything, you don't even have to think about it. Right. Now I kind of got to think about what I'm doing and where that lever goes, but
welcome back.
We'll manage.
Welcome back. That was my 5 weeks too. But well, and like you said, a really kind of forward-looking spec. It's more synchronized too, right?
It's all synchronized throughout the transmission. It is direct drive with a 285 gear ratio and 96. Pretty common nowadays, but very unusual for that time frame.
I mean, correct. I'm doing this off memory, but I mean, 355 I feel was the ratio. That was the standard that everyone was running.
342, and everybody was gaga when they went to 326s and 336s. So, so this is very forward thinking, and really when you look at whoever laid this out, their mindset was very similar as to when I was putting together Purple Haze and looking to get all the efficiency possible out of the components at the time. Pretty cool little truck.
We're loaded. Both trucks are about 58,000. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's do it.
Excited about it.
Good luck.
Yeah, you too. Drive safe. the best way we decided to figure out who is getting the best fuel efficiency is just to do it by the dollars and cents of it. We're filling up the trucks now before I run. The Volvo VN from 96, I mean, it doesn't have the latest and greatest software, telematics, all that good stuff that'll tell you your MPG like the Purple Haze does. So this is it. We're getting the tanks all full, making sure they're at the same level. And then we'll do our run, come back here, fill them back up, and see who spent more to do the run. Yep, that looks good. All right. That looks good. It's right up the neck there, so I think that one's really good too.
Okay, we're going to run the speed limit. Fire that thing up. Yep. So we'll show you.
Oh, man.
It's a lot nicer, isn't it?
Holy smokes.
It's like driving your car, isn't it? It is.
Purple Haze, would run more fuel efficient at 62 or 70?
The slower, the better. You're always going to be more fuel efficient. But that being said, that thing would kick ass at 80. It doesn't make any difference.
That's what I told him. I said, why don't you run the speed limit?
Yeah, he could. That would really drive home the point that those trucks are very efficient at high speed.
I'll text Dwayne and tell you that.
We'll run the 62 for maximum efficiency and tell him to go ahead and run it at 70 just to prove the point. They're going to kick our ass regardless. This thing ain't even going to be close. Gotta get this thing out of here without running over anything.
A little bit different feel, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, so much different. So much different.
How long has it been since you've driven a manual transmission out of the one?
For money?
Yeah.
About 5 years. And then it was only for a day. I was just in a rental truck.
You've never driven this style transmission?
Not this particular transmission. This is a very European transmission. And the gears are just a little backwards from what I'm used to. I got to think about it, you know what I mean? And that's something different. Normally it's just muscle memory.
There was a moment where I came up to that stoplight and felt the transmission downshifting. And I had to remind myself that it's not stalled.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, okay, this is really cool. And that was always kind of a stressful moment for me because that's where I'd stall the truck.
Yeah, you will stall this truck.
A little difference in getting on the accelerator rather than just letting the clutch up in the gear grab.
Yep.
When you're starting, right? Putting on like even when I was pulling out of the fuel station too, I had to give it a little more accelerator than I was anticipating. I got just to get going. I'm used to, still coming off that clutch.
This truck has dynamic torque on it.
Okay.
So it only allows the truck to have the torque that it needs.
Okay.
So you ever seen a truck sitting in a stoplight,
right?
And you see that frame rise, as they come through the gears,
right?
Well, this has dynamic torque at this point in time. So what it's doing, it's limiting the torque based on the mass that we have on the truck.
Okay.
So you're never over torquing it. You're not putting additional stress in the drive line, the axle, the tires. So it helps out with tire wear. But the difference in that is the truck will kind of feel like it's loaded, and you may have to put in more throttle at that point.
Right.
During starting.
Is that a feature that's always on? If I'm speccing a truck, am I working with you on application to get that mix right, or is that just an always on iTorque?
Well, if it's iTorque, it's a standard option. If we're using an iShift transmission, it's an option.
Okay.
So we have what we call an XE iTorque, or it has dynamic torque.
Yeah.
So iTorque is going to be consistent torque rises and until you get peak. Okay. Dynamic is going to have 5 different levels to it based on your mass.
Nice.
Once you get over 65,000 pounds, then the truck will give you full torque. So it's a slight fuel efficiency benefit, but mainly a driveline maintenance tool.
There's maybe that misconception of I don't have the power, right? Because you're expected to come off that clutch and you're getting your torque up. This one, you're giving a little accelerate. You have the power when you ask for it.
What's it like to look back in the mirror and see your truck back there with somebody else behind the wheel?
Well, that's like the third time that's happened, so I'm getting used to it, I guess.
Jason's got to be living his best life back there. Come out of CDL school, driving a manual transmission. Now he's in an I-shift.
Yeah.
State-of-the-art truck.
Yeah, very high level spec on that truck, so he should be enjoying himself, no doubt.
And he has working air conditioning today.
So you have 3 different drive modes. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
No, okay.
Okay, so if you look at the dash down there, see where it says D and 13. D says your drive. 13 is obviously the gear you're in.
Yep.
And you've got EE plus. Okay. And then if you shift this mode here, right down here on the shifter, EE is extra economy.
Okay.
E is economy, and then P is performance. So each one of those is going to be a slight increment in shifting where they're going to shift.
Okay.
So it'll jump up a little bit higher at RPM. It'll change the shifting points of the transmission.
So I'm in extra economy now.
Yep.
How does it manage the shift points? What is the difference?
It's doing a calculation. The truck has a grade sensor on the transmission. It knows the mass of the truck based on air suspension pressure and also torque that the engine is currently putting out.
Yeah.
So it does that calculation to figure out, okay, here's the mass.
Okay.
Here's the gear I need to be in.
Okay.
Here's the road speed.
I see.
And then as you go faster, it does these calculations all the time. It's like, okay, now I can do a gear shift. I'm going to drop down an RPM, and then I'm going to have the horsepower to do what I need to do. It's already done a calculation when it can get that next gear.
Okay.
And if you look at that little thing right next to where it says D, it'll have like a little arrow.
Yep.
So that means you can shift down, and then the one next to it. So now it's an eco roll.
Yeah. I'm in neutral right now.
Yep, you're in eco roll right now. So what that means is we've got enough momentum to roll over and continue the speed that you want to.
I see. Okay. Well, and that's interesting too, because even on, in school and going through the CDL, one of the things is you always have to be in gear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can never coast in neutral like that. But with the automated transmission, you can go ahead and do that. It has full control.
The truck is laid out very nice. It's a direct drive, and I'm not going to be running high speed, so the direct drive in this particular case plays to my advantage. It's just about keeping piston speed down in the engine. It's about matching the horsepower demand, like going up this hill, and horsepower produced, keeping the engine in the right rev rate. Being an older engine, it's going to be higher RPM for sure. It's not going to be able to run down at low RPM like my truck on this particular pull here. Short little thing, I would be pulling this with no problem at 990 RPM. Here I'm closer to 1300. This was definitely, the gearing was unusual the way this truck was set up for the time period, the 285 direct drive. But it's still, I guess, traditional enough to where you're going to keep it in top gear most of the time, where the 14 speed I shift in my truck, because it's doing the work, you're going to take advantage of all 3 of the top gear: overdrive, direct drive, and underdrive. And the transmission will use it where it's appropriate to use it, where this is, spec to stay right up in top gear all the time.
Direct drive, overdrive, what are the benefits there, and what was your explanation of switching that over there? What are we trying to do?
So you heard Joel talk about counter shaft. Okay. So in the transmission, you have 2 shafts. You have a main shaft, which goes from the input to the output.
Okay.
And you have a counter shaft that's below that. Okay, and that allows you to switch gears in between.
Okay.
So power will go in from the main down to the counter, then back up.
Okay.
That allows us to switch gears. So anytime that we're running an overdrive is going to allow the engine to run at lower engine RPMs.
Overdrive runs at lower RPMs.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, you're just taking another gear, that's all.
Right.
So intuitively, the engine RPM is going to drop. So if you think about those pistons going up and down,
Yep.
it's less parasitic loss because the engine's running at low RPM.
Yep.
And so for flat terrain with the I-torque, it works really well. And just go over those flat to rolling hills and stay in overdrive.
Okay.
But when we get into higher hills, it's going to want to drop down into direct drive, which is 1 gear down. A direct drive means that the power goes straight in the transmission and out through the transmission.
Okay.
So power doesn't go down to the countershaft.
Right.
So anytime we have to spin that countershaft, it takes additional energy to do that. So it does do that in top gear overdrive. It does go through the countershaft. So you've got more parasitic loss in the transmission, but you have less parasitic loss in the engine because the engine's running lower.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then when we are in direct drive, now the transmission's more efficient because it's going straight through the transmission.
Sure.
But then the engine RPMs are higher.
Okay.
So you kind of balance those back and forth. In some terrains where we got slightly larger rolling hills, we can try to keep it in, we can manually put it up into overdrive, drop the engine RPMs, and sometimes get better fuel economy than we can at direct drive.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I used to be a hardcore direct drive guy, but I was okay driving around at 55 mile an hour everywhere I went to. I work really hard at time management, and I think it's something that I excel at, and most drivers do not. And they're always running up against the clock because they haven't managed their time well, and they always rely on speed in order to save their ass. And that's why they like faster trucks for the most part, I believe. I never really wanted to rely on speed to save my ass, but a lot of guys do. Most guys do. Overwhelming majority.
Because I wasn't, especially coming out of school, efficiency, I never thought about efficiency. I thought about safety, right? And keeping my eyes on the road, watching the trailer, right? I didn't really care what my MPG was, because there's so many other things going on there. And even now, through some of the traffic here, we're talking, but to be honest, I'm half listening because I've got, a truck coming up over here. I got like that guy coming up over there.
What the dash readout showing on their fuel efficiency.
Right now you're doing 8.8 miles per gallon.
Yeah, which is wild.
If you're interested in knowing the number, the last text I got from Blade was 8.4 miles per gallon by Jason.
This thing is really holding on with some fuel efficiency.
Can I text him and tell him, make him a little worried?
Well, we're at 9.5.
Yeah, I'll send him a text and let him know. Dwayne can tell Jason.
I'm gonna call Kyle and see if he wants to do.
You guys have successfully driven off and left us back here. Doing great, plugging along here, trying to maintain the best speed we can and fuel efficiency. We're running 62.
Yeah, that's okay. He told me to run the speed limit. How far out are we, do you know?
We probably got about an hour, 50 feet. I don't see any rev back there.
Hey, we're getting to the elevation. Pretty soon we're going to be doing the best we can do.
I'll be on the four ways here soon.
What's he reading now?
At one point I texted you, we were in like 9.6 or whatever was what it was reading. Yeah, I'm sure there's a plus or minus error in there. What are we reading now?
9.2.
This is 9.2.
Yeah, we're at 8.1.
He's really keeping her around 62.
We gotta slow this thing down, then, otherwise he's just focus on fuel economy. Tell him to put that damn hammer down. Let's make this a fair comparison.
Says Jason's still getting used to the truck. He hasn't kept it in cruise control the whole time.
Oh, gotcha.
Been kind of hesitant in some places to do that.
If you want to be Joel, if you want to put it into cruise, that'll give you a little bit better bump on that thing.
For an hour and a half, I knew that I should have been in cruise control. And now that I need it, I don't know how to set it.
How do I set cruise?
Next time on the Fuel Efficiency Face-Off, the New Driver Challenge.
We had a few challenges, but it went well. This is where this truck's really, really going to shine.
This terrain is not ideal for fuel economy.
That wasn't too awful painful.
I'll take it.